What's going on, guys? It's Jay from Dirty Boy Tools, here to bring you a video after a long time on my Knipex small pouch updated version. So I've been making videos on this pouch lately for a while, and I've been trying to streamline this pouch to make it fit everything you'll need. Everything you need that's going to replace out multi-tools, that's going to replace out EDC items. I want this pouch to be able to compete and go head to head with any type of useful EDC out there, and it's the only additional EDC item I carry on me besides my wallet, phone, keys. So it's very simplified. It looks crowded inside, I'll give it that. It does look crowded, but I usually only take out 1 or 2 tools at a time, maybe 3, so putting them back in is really not that much of a hassle. Obviously, if I were to take out more than that, it would be tough to put everything back into place, but I really do love this pouch. It's been working out very well for me, especially in a work setting. I've designed it around being able to navigate problems at work and provide solutions for them. So before I keep talking myself to death, let me get into all the items in this pouch, and maybe I can convince some of you guys to start building your own toolkit that you can just carry with you everywhere you go, and I'm telling you, it'll make your life easier overall. So the first tool I have that I'm pulling out of the side pouch, the side sleeve, whatever you want to call it, this is the Knipex Cobras. I keep them in the side because 1, it's too bulky to really keep with everything else, and 2, there's something that I pull out often. You could use them for so many different situations. You could take a stapler with a stuck staple, pull out the stuck staple. You can pull out wires. You can even use them for larger sensor nuts, sensor bolts, things like that. And they don't have a ton of leverage compared to a 6, 8, or 10-inch pair of pliers, but the 4-inch pliers still can provide you with enough leverage for a lot of tasks that you may come across in your day-to-day life at home or at work. They're highly recommended by everyone, including myself. So the PB Swiss driver is my answer to eyeglass screwdrivers, sensor screwdrivers, just any type of small screw. It is very useful, especially for the sensors that I work with, which have tiny flathead screws in them that are super annoying. But the PB Swiss does answer the call to dealing with those types of sensors and those types of screws. The only thing is, because it is a blade screwdriver where I can switch the blade in and out, I can't beat up on the blades and use it as a poking tool, which is not the worst thing in the world. I sawed off the end to make it fit better inside of my kit, and it still works just fine without that. My flashlight is the Streamlight Micro Stream. There's 4 more powerful flashlights out there, even at that size, but this is a single AAA battery flashlight at 50 lumens, I think. It's very weak, but strong enough for me to see exactly what I need to see. And the reason I go with the weaker flashlight is because I just don't want the battery to die on me so quickly. I'd rather have a flashlight that I can just forget about for a while and not worry about batteries or charging, and this fits that bill. But I am looking for other options, but right now I'm pretty content with this flashlight in here. This next tool is something that many of you guys have seen in different kits before. It's so simple. It's basically a needle. It's an awl. I took a jeweler's file from a cheap jeweler set, and it works really well as a poking tool. And poking is good for dealing with air valves. It's good for maneuvering things. It's good for picking things out of place. It's just such a useful generic tool to have on you. I highly recommend everyone carry something like that. You'll probably see a lot of multi-tools out there like Leatherman's. They'll have an all option. It's a great option to have on you. You just never know when you need to poke at something. Alright, so the next group of tools is basically a set that can be used in conjunction with each other as different combinations. And this is something you don't get with a lot of multi-tools. This is something you can get in a kit like this. So I have here the 711L mini ratchet, which has been a buzz lately all over YouTube. And then I have two bit adapters. The bit adapters came together as a set. So you see I have my 4-inch there. I can extend the 711L. 711L, by the way, is a great ratchet. It can take on a lot of big jobs, hard to ratchet screws, hard to thread screws. They're really good at that stuff. But as you can see, I'm using the 4-inch and the 2-inch all together, and I can have leverage there. I can have leverage in that sense. I could have length, all kinds of combinations you can come up with just these three pieces together. And when you pair the 711 with the 2-inch, it's just high enough to fit into the pouch. So a generic adapter like the one I have in my left hand just won't cut it with the 711L. You can see side by side I have this other one compared to my Swan Lake driver, and that little bit of height difference gives you a chance to fit that ratchet in the pouch more comfortably. Granted, it'll fit in the pouch with the regular bit driver, but it's going to sit tall, and if you have too many tall tools in your Knipex pouch, it'll be hard to close. So I wanted to avoid that by going with the shorter adapter, and it fits well, works perfectly, and oftentimes I just keep those two things together without even separating them. So the next one I have is a scalpel knife. It's been very good to use. I haven't changed out the blade yet. It's still sharp enough for me to cut, but the blade changing isn't so bad. As you can see, if you do it with your hands, it's a bit of a struggle, but you can just pull out the Knipex Cobras. They'll bite right into the bottom of it, and you can switch out the blades. Having a scalpel knife is good. It'll cut through a lot of things, but the knife blade itself is dainty, so you can't really work things too well with it. So that is a bit of an issue, but hey, it's very small, it's very compact, and I do really like using this thing. So this next item is a pair of sewing scissors by Beadative, and the little plastic cover there is from another set of sewing scissors. They happen to fit well onto this one. It was more expensive than the conventional 4.1-inch sewing scissors. I bought it because I thought it'd be shorter. Turns out it's really not that much shorter. If you're gonna go with a pair of sewing scissors, that'll be fine. I bought these because they can cut through thread, cut through paper, and they can cut through wire ties and strip out wires. I've tested them out. They work pretty well. I don't have a pair of wire cutters in here, so I have to make do with this pair of scissors, and it does work well, although a pair of wire cutters would be a stronger option. So this is just a generic flathead screwdriver. My PB Swiss can cover a lot of the smaller screws. This is just a flathead driver that I can beat up and use on smaller light switches, some larger screws, and I can stab things a little bit with them. Again, I have my awl tool for that, but that flat screwdriver works pretty well for that type of scenario. This next tool is a pry bar. I've went through a lot of pry bars and I'm trying to find the best one possible. So far this one is it. I forgot the company name, but like I said, I'll link it in the description. It's got a nice flathead screwdriver, so I can get into control cabinets. That flathead screwdriver also doubles as a pry bar, but I've been using it more so to get into control cabinets. So I just put the file there, stick it into the flathead hole, and just turn, and I can get in and troubleshoot and do what I need to do. And the bottle opening portion is also very useful for adding leverage onto my Knipex Cobras. Now, if I'm being honest with you, it'll add leverage, but it doesn't hold as well as I hoped it would. So I'm still looking for something that can give me some leverage and hold inside the pouch very compactly, so that I can add a little bit more strength to my pliers if I need to, depending on the situation. Overall though, very good pry bar, and there are a lot of EDC pry bar options out there, and I guarantee you'll find one that you need because there's just so many of them. This next tool is something that came with the pouch along with the Knipex Cobras, and these are the Knipex pliers wrench. They can replace out 4-inch wrenches, and they do a great job, but keep in mind they do take up a lot of space. If I were to replace this out with a pair of 4-inch crescents or 4-inch Bacos, I would definitely save some space in there and it would definitely be less crowded. But having this type of tool as opposed to an adjustable wrench makes turning bolts, turning nuts a lot easier, and it makes life easier, and you're gonna strip out the bolts and nuts a lot less because you'll grab onto it securely, more similar to a box wrench than you would for an adjustable wrench. So this is the almond bit kit. I've had this in my Knipex pouch for a while. 21 bits in there, has all basically my work bits in there. So standard size Allen keys is what I use the most. Of course I use metric Allen size as well, and metric ends up being useful in everyday life since a lot of items in the households are made in other countries. I also have some Phillips in there and another very small Allen bit that I need for a specific sensor. So all in all, I am prepared for so many scenarios and so many different bolt sizes using just what's in this kit, and it's the perfect size. It fits right in your pouch with 21 bits, and it's nice and flexible, so it'll squeeze right in there without being too much of a nuisance. Definitely recommend getting this for EDC pouches. So here I have just a generic Sharpie. I would prefer a paint marker, but I can't find a paint marker in this size. Just good for labeling things when you're taking things apart. So here I have a set of brass calipers. I had plastic calipers in here previously, and they were vernier, you know, those calipers that are meant to measure very precisely. They were designed like that, but I found that it wasn't that accurate, and I said, you know what, I don't need my calipers to be that accurate, so let me get one that's accurate to a 16th that I know will hold to a 16th. So I got this, and all the numbers and everything's etched in. As you can see, this type of tool is going to get scratched. Anything's going to get scratched in there, so at least with the brass and the etchings, the numbers will hold up a little bit stronger. I don't expect this set of calipers to be ultra accurate and super precise. I just need it to really tell me what size bolts are, and so I can get more replacement bolts in case they break off. And I gotta say, it's been super helpful to carry around that on me. And along with the set of brass calipers, I have a ruler that I cut, basically a machinist ruler. One of my coworkers yelled at me. He says, if you cut it, you're gonna ruin the calibration of it. It's not gonna be accurate, and it's not gonna be precise. I don't really need it to be. I need it to be a good reference point. So if I'm leveling something out, and I show that one side is I don't know, 1/16 or 1/32, then I can move it over to the other side. Does it match? Is that 1/32 as well? Great. Then the ruler did its job and helped me reference something and helped me level it out. So it has been doing its job, and it helps out where the calipers can't. So the next item is something I have on me because it's just recommended by everybody to have a fire source. It's a kerosene lighter. I didn't put any kerosene in it, and really I just put it in my pouch to see if I could fit it and see if it could hold. And I was gonna buy some kerosene, I never did, but I found a nice butane lighter in the same size, so I ordered that. And I have butane, so I'm gonna get that and carry that on me. I don't expect to be using a lighter that often, you know, I'm not a smoker or anything like that, but it can be useful. And I don't know, if kid having a birthday and you need a lighter to light the candles, or you know, situations like that. I don't know, maybe it'll leave the kit, maybe I'll switch to something else, but I have a source of fire. So for anyone out there that needs to carry a lighter, this is a great option for you to have. I will link the butane lighter as well in the description. This is a small pen bit that I got out of one of those EDC cards, like a Victorinox knockoff card. Just having a spare pen. I have a pen inside my wallet, but another pen isn't bad to have, and it's so small it doesn't take up any space. So this next item is something I just don't see in a lot of EDC kits, but I think it should be there. I know a lot of people carry around like the WD-40 sticks, things like that, but I wanted something smaller. So I got one of those cologne bottles, perfume bottles. It comes in a set, they come empty, and you just fill it up with any oil you want. A nano oil, 3-in-1, you want to use WD-40, you want to use air motor oil, you want to use something else. It's a great option to have. The spray, it doesn't mist out the oil. Well, it might, depending on the viscosity, I guess, but it'll give you, a drop, a couple of drops maybe, every spray, which is all I need to lubricate different machineries and different equipments. So it's something very useful to have. What I used prior to this was this piece right here. It was meant to hold toothpicks, and I basically took it, I cut off a wire brush, I super glued the wire brush to the inside and put oil there. I was going to apply oil that way, but it got kind of annoying to do, and that wire brush kind of took all the oil out of the container, so I'd run out faster. So I decided that just wasn't a good enough option, and I went with the spray bottle instead. The bottle itself is super short, so it's kind of hard to get out of the kit. So I am looking for a taller bottle that's just as skinny. This next set of items is something I just hope to never use. I have used a set of lockpicks one time to help somebody out get into their house, but I just don't want to use it again because I'm just not very good at picking locks. I can do it, it just takes me a long time, and I don't want anyone to end up in that scenario where you're locked out of your house. That's very stressful for people. But these are the mace picks by Sparrow Tools. One's a pick, one's a rake. Both of them have the torsion wrench on them, so you should be able to pick locks with them. They're not as comfortable as conventional picks, but they should work out for many scenarios. So now that I showed you what's in my toolkit, I want to go over some of the tools that didn't quite make it in the toolkit, or maybe I used them before and I'm not using them anymore. So these are the ones I could find, and let's get into those. So I was thinking about putting in a micro bit driver so I could have a variety of micro bits along with my regular 1/4-inch bits, but I ended up coming up with something like this where I have all the micro bits in a 3-inch test tube. Unfortunately, I can only fit 6 microbits in there. My PB Swiss precision driver has basically 6 bits, so it would be just a waste of space to have that in there. If I could fit more bits in that, I probably would go with it, but I can't. So this piece right here is by a company called Grip-On. It's advertised as a pair of locking pliers, and I guess it technically is that. Basically that screw, the brass screw up top, you can adjust the height of it, and it basically works as like a vice grip, and it does do its job. It does work well. It is an aluminum body, so I'm afraid to use something like that, but something like that takes up way too much space in the kit, and it's just not worth having in there. I also considered some more 4-inch locking pliers, needle nose, regular, and they just simply don't fit into the kit properly. Even though they're supposed to be 4-inch tools, they're way too tall, and my pouch doesn't fold over. And I know even in my normal kit the pouch barely folds over it. I know it's tight, but this would be putting it over the line. Even in the side pocket pouch, they stick out way too much, and that's just too inconvenient. I don't want that for my pouch. I want it to be small, compact, and this just doesn't cut it for me, unfortunately. If anyone's ever heard of a pair of 3-inch locking pliers out there, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. Maybe I'll experiment with that in the future. So this next tool is something I've had in the pouch before. I've had it in the side pockets, and it's just a really cool generic driver. The problem is that magnet on top is way too strong. It sticks to everything. So if I'm picking out another tool, that tool will catch onto that screwdriver. It'll pull that driver out along with the tool out, and it just creates a bit of a mess that I don't want at all. So I don't carry around that driver anymore. I also did use individual eyeglass screwdrivers. The advantage of these is that you can beat them up a lot more than the blades in the PB Swiss driver. The disadvantage is that they're messy and unorganized inside the kit, and they kind of fall all over the place, so the PB Swiss driver was the better option in that case. So these are just two options I consider for pry bars. I considered a lot more, I just don't have them on me. This first pry bar was from a Ukrainian company. It's really cool. It's one of those cool EDC items that looks cool, and you can just kind of show off to your friends, but it didn't have a flat enough piece to double as a flathead driver. And then this one is by Annex, the Japanese screwdriver company. It's really cool. It's a faucet flathead screwdriver, and I thought I could double up and use it as a pry bar and a scraping tool, because I used my pry bar to scrape, and I could attach it to the end of the bit driver, but it's just not working out for me, so I didn't end up going with it. And these are some 4-inch adjustable wrenches I considered. Baco and Crescent, they are the best adjustable wrenches that money can buy. I haven't found anything better than them. The Crescent one opens up slightly larger than the Baco, and it's more low profile, so I would like to use that. I'd actually like to make that an addition to the Knipex pliers wrench in the kit. That would be nice, but I'd probably have to take out the lighter or something else like that. But who knows what the future holds? Maybe I'll switch it out. So now that I showed you a kit like this, I hope you guys will consider switching to a kit like this and forget about your multi-tools. I promise you'll be happy about it, especially when you're doing work with your tools. Hopefully you will thank me later if I convince you.